All right, the Nigeria Startup Bill (NSB) has been passed into law and is now the Nigeria Startup Act 2022. With the new act, Nigeria's tech ecosystem should see an improved enabling environment shortly. Tech startups in Nigeria face several regulatory hurdles and suffer from a lack of basic amenities like constant power supply and limited funding. One of the three objectives of the Nigeria Startup Act is to bridge the engagement gap between startups and regulators and ensure that harmful regulations are shut down. Among other things, the bill also seeks to encourage the establishment, development, and operation of startups in the country via incentives like tax breaks, government loans, and credit guarantee schemes. A look at the act shows it has provisions for tax breaks for new startups and also provides tax incentives for foreign service providers. It also delineates requirements for registration and licensing or labeling of startups. While this has been lauded as an achievement, let's take a look at the potential that this holds for businesses and Nigerian youths. Joining us to help make sense of this is Barinada Alex Ihanacho, startup legal expert and founder, Barinada Legal. She joins us virtually. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
All right. Well, very quickly, talking about the Nigeria Startup Act, the 2022, it holds so many promises and possibilities, if I might add that. Let's have your opinion on the passage.
Well, I think that for a long time, the startup space has been largely unregulated in Nigeria. Unregulated in the sense that, with the exception of the Companies and the Allied Matters Act, which is the general law that regulates the formation and operation of business in Nigeria, and of course other specific industry-based regulation. This is the first time we're actually going to have one uniform law that recognizes this.
Okay, I guess you're done with that, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Now, industry players have averred that the NSA creates a conducive environment for, Nigerian startups to launch and scale their products. Talk to us about this possibility, really. What are your thoughts?
Well, on the issue of, there's a time the government passed a policy. It was the ease of doing business policy. For some of us who know that ease of doing business was more than just registration of businesses with the CAC, our opinions at the time were that there was actually no ease of doing business, but with the Startup Act, the Startup Bill, which is now...
All right, this is a connection issue which we hope to resolve as soon as possible. But Barinada Alex Ihanacho is a legal expert and she's looking at a Startups Act which has just been passed into law by the President, Muhammadu Buhari. We're looking at what... All right, go ahead if you can hear me. All right, I guess we'll have to take a break.
Business that was... Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now. Go ahead then.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me?
All right, I can hear you, but Barinada, please hold on. We'll have to take a break now, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. If you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
All right.
That's fine.
Okay. We'll take a break now, and we'll be back shortly. Stay with us. All right, thanks again for joining us. And we still have right here with us Barinada Alex Ihanacho. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you for having me again.
All right, before we went on that break, we were talking about industry players saying that this particular act creates a conducive environment for Nigerian startups to launch and scale their products. You were responding earlier. You were talking about the ease of doing business. You were trying to talk about what correlation they have. Please go ahead.
Okay, so I didn't hear anything you said. It was so bad.
Oh, you mean right now?
Terribly.
Okay, I'm saying that a lot of people have said that the NSA creates that platform or creates a conducive environment for Nigerian startups to launch and scale their products. And I said that when I asked you this question earlier, I was asking what your thoughts were. Then you started talking about the ease of doing business, and you were trying to talk to us about the correlation between this and the ease of doing business, and how that the ease of doing business didn't actually make the business easy for startups. Go ahead, please, if you can hear me.
Thank you. So let me just basically start from the last point I made.
Okay.
Hopefully we can now connect somewhere. So I was saying that for the first time in a long while, there is an actual law act that seems like there is consideration for ease of doing business for Nigerians, especially startups. And I said this because I recall that some time ago, there was this policy, ease of doing business policy, and the whole thing that was, that law was about, or that policy was about, was actually ease of registering businesses to the CSC. And I said that ease of doing business, some of us who knew about all of this knew that ease of doing business was not just about registering business or ability to register business to the CSC and reduction of registration costs and all of that. But there was more to ease of doing business. And now looking at the NSA, the Nigerian Startup Act, from the provisions, it's looking like, okay, there is a conscious and an intentional effort at creating an enabling environment for Nigerian startups to thrive. Okay, and I'm sure that maybe in due course we will look at some of those specific provisions and what it means for startups, and of course how they can tap into the provisions of the Act.
Okay. Well, I'd like you to. You were saying?
No, I already finished my thoughts.
Okay. I'd like you to actually start that particular conversation now. I'd like you to talk about some of the provisions that you think are actually very good and will aid players in that sector.
Okay. So first, the provisions of the Startup Act are actually very robust, right? And we'll start with what the regulatory body, because with every regulation or with every law comes a body that is supposed to administer, the provisions. And but before we start with that, let me just establish that I need to also clearly state, since I have the opportunity to do this, I'm always taking every opportunity I have to make this clarification. Startups are not usually struggling businesses. Startups are not the regular small businesses. They are called startups because, these are companies that use technology one way or the other to build a unique product that solves varieties of problems or a particular problem, right? So that's why they are called startups. Earlier today I started a post about how to identify an actual startup. Now back to the Startup Act, it clearly first of all identifies the set of people that the Act applies to. That's the application of the Act. And from the Act you can already see that is meant for technology startups and not just the regular small businesses. So that's once you know that you're building a product that is driven by technology, just know that the Act applies to you. And of course, it establishes a regulatory body. I was saying that every law, every regulatory framework comes with a regulatory body. So the Startup Act establishes the National Council for Digital Innovation and Entrepreneurship. Now, this council will be like the CAC that regulates CAMA, the Companies and Allied Matters Act. So, the Startup Act will be enforced. The provisions of the Act will be enforced by this council. And of course, the council will have like a secretariat there. So, I'm not going to read through the law or through the Act and say, oh, Section 1 says this, Section 5 says this. But I'm just going to give the key points that I feel really affect startups or that they should really be aware of. So number one is the establishment of the council and the establishment of the secretariat of the council. And I was wondering, why do they need to have a different secretariat again? Looking at the composition of the council, they have like the president, a couple of ministers, a few industry players in the tech space, and of course, what I thought about, like, okay, are these people that are really going to have time to enforce or administer the provisions of the Act? But then again, in their wisdom, they have to set up the secretariat. So the secretariat it will actually be the administrative arm of the council. Like they are the ones who are going to make the laws, do everything that would make sure that the import of the Startup Act is realized. Now, one other thing I want to also point out, I'm not going to go into the formation and what the Startup Act the council is about. We're going to look. One other thing I want to point out, which is really really key, is startup labeling.
Okay.
Now, under the Startup Act, remember I said that for a long time the startup space was largely unregulated. Now, with the Startup Act that has now been, that is now coming to force, for you to qualify for some of the incentives that the government has, put forward through this act, you need to be registered formally. So you know how you go to register, you know how the law says anyone who wants to do business in Nigeria must first register the business in Nigeria. Under the Startup Act, anyone who wants to be identified as a startup, any startup who wants to be properly identified as a startup must actually register and be labeled under the Startup Act.
All right, let me come in here, please. All right, still talking about...
I said any startup who wants to be recognized as an actual startup in Nigeria, going forward, must actually be registered under the Startup Act. I already talked about the administration of the act that is to be done by the Secretariat of the Council that has been established.
Okay, Barinada, I get you. I want to come in here now. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So I'm looking at this particular act, and it says that labeled startups with at least 10 employees, where 60% of the employees have no prior work experience within 3 years of graduation or any vocational program, have access to Okay. I'm saying that according to this particular act, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. Startups that have at least 10 employees, and out of this 10, 60% of the employees have no prior work experience within 3 years of... Can you hear me?
Yes, within 10 of the employees, 6% or 60%
60% of these employees, okay, have no prior work experience within 3 years of graduation or any vocational program, have access to percentage-based tax relief. Now, I must say that this must be in the interest of young graduates who have yet to be employed. But don't you think 60% is a lot, considering the fact that we need skilled talents?
To run a startup, actually. You're absolutely right, and I'm glad that, we're talking about this. It was one of the points I was going to talk about, that, the government is saying, do this and I'll do this. It's a give and take relationship, right? So, in addition to being registered as a startup, you get some incentives, one of which is percentage-based tax incentives. But then, to be able to access that, like you rightly said, the organization must have at least 10 employees, with 60% of the employees being fresh graduates, not more than 3 years post university experience or vocation, any other institution experience, and of course, no prior work experience. So I'm thinking, I run a startup focused law firm, and if you understand, it's good to really understand a thing before making regulations regarding that thing. If you understand startups, you know that talent is really important to them. Getting the right team members, getting employees who know what they are doing is really important to them. So, creating a law or a provision that says that before you can get this benefit, then 60% of your employees, where you have 10 of them, for example, 6 out of those 10 employees have to have ought to be people who graduated within the last 3 years, right? With no prior work experience. Please, a startup properly so-called, leveraging technology and how to disrupt the market and how to, do something revolutionary. I don't see how they will want to get as much as more than half of their workforce to be people who have no prior work experience. So I think that at the end of the day, startups have to choose the lesser of two evils, right?
Okay.
Get the tax incentive or enjoy the benefits that comes with that particular regulation, or not be covered by the act. But with the exception of that one, I think every other one is every manageable. But again, thank you for pointing that out, because I started a series where I'm talking about startup act, and I haven't even gotten to the key provisions. And it was one of the things that I wanted to talk about. That I mean, if you're putting such regulation that says 60% is a whole lot,
Exactly.
I can't imagine. I have a law firm that is focused on startups too, on startups. So I can't imagine surrounding the place with 60% workforce who don't know what we want to do.
Well, I guess this will be a good place to probably drop that particular one while I take your last thoughts.
You're working again.
Okay, I said I think this is a good place to drop that while I take your closing or parting shot.
Okay.
Yeah, give us a parting shot as we close the conversation.
Okay. The foundation of what? The foundation of what?
Okay, I'll say let's have your final thought. Your final thought on the act and yes.
Okay. Okay. So on the app again, it is a new app. Implementation hasn't really started yet. Of course, there needs to be establishment of the council. But the only thing about this particular regulation is that it's going to create a lot of job opportunities, job employment for the youth. I mean, the council that will be established, there will be people who will be working there. You know how we have regulatory parameters. There are people working in one different part and the other, one part or the other. There are people who are going to be service providers.
Okay.
Overall, the app is not entirely a bad one, because it not only captures the interest of startup founders, it actually also captures the interest of investors, right? I mean, there's tax incentive for investors who are going to invest in indigenous startups.
Okay.
And then, of course, there is also seed funding and so many.
I guess this conversation.
Just due to the startup app. So
Okay.
I'm just going to stop here for now.
Okay. I guess this is a conversation that will still continue because there's a lot to say about this act. Thank you so much, Barinada, for sharing your thoughts with us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, we'll take a break now, and when we'll come back, we'll bring you more. Stay with us.